morning and welcome to What's New with Mike and Jeff. Coming to you live via the interwebs. I'm your host, Mike, and with me is the happiest person on the planet, Jeff.
Okay.
Hey, Space Wolves come out.
They are coming out.
You've
But
got
I'll be the happiest on the planet when I have it in my hand.
Hey,
So.
just the idea that you've got a date, you've got a plan, and you know it's going to happen.
Yes.
You will be set. Just knowing that it's happening is probably the best news. Because when they announced them, you were like, we don't know when.
Yeah.
Like that was the big, and that happens when they announce a new product. Yep. Nobody knows when it's going to come out right away.
They went on pre-order. I believe they're on pre-order this morning.
Yeah. So very exciting stuff. So
now you got to be talking about. I just got to confirm they're actually on pre-order. I will not, however, be ordering them via GW. I'll be supporting my local game shop.
There you go. Even your not so close local game shop.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not a. I don't have my closest favorite store is in Arizona. My next closest favorite store is in Baltimore, which is 70 miles. It's a little closer. So
still a pretty lengthy drive, but
oh yeah, absolutely.
But the Space Wolves have been announced. Good morning, David. Dave.
How you doing, buddy?
David, I was at Andy's Hobby headquarters the other day. Good morning, Joe. Thursday, I went over to Andy's, the big superstore, and picked up something that I will talk about in a little bit. But I got to meet Lucas C. was there at Andy's. Great. Right. Lucas C. was there. Lucas C. is a model car guy, good friend of Andy's. But where Andy focuses a lot on armor and things like that. Luke, good morning, Jake.
I don't think they go on, by the way, Space Wolves, I don't think they go on pre-order this week. I think it's next week they go on pre-order.
Yeah, but you got a date. You know when they're going.
I have a window.
You have a window of excitement to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, continue with your story, sir. I'm sorry.
So I got to meet Lucas C. was there. He does model cars. So it was cool. He's a YouTube channel and good friend of Andy's. Andy was there. Busier than he was, so focused on other things. You could just see it in his face. Like he was just pew, 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 because he's got a lot going on.
He does.
And then I met Brian. He's one of the guys that works there. He was a super nice, and he introduced me to. I went there looking for the AK markers.
Yeah.
And I wanted to try them out because it's not a new concept to put paint in a marker type thing, but I was just kind of curious. I just wanted to know how they were going to work. And they have AK has two different sets. They have a military set, and then they are targeting these other ones for miniature gaming. He is my instructor. He is your sensei. And so I wanted to try them out. They're just the military ones are a felt marker tip.
Right.
So it's like you're painting with a Sharpie. So, okay, Sharpies are used in painting models. We all have seen it done. I do it.
Several around my desk.
Yes, it's a great, easy tool. So that's what the military ones. These are more of a synthetic paintbrush.
Right.
So it's more of a synthetic paintbrush. I think they're more, if you're used to using synthetic paintbrushes, probably right up your alley.
Yeah.
If you're not, there's a learning curve because synthetic brushes don't paint nearly as well as a Klinsky or a natural fibered paintbrush. Right. But I've been messing around with them because I'm starting my next big project, which is my Wartime Army. I actually started painting up a model. Used my glasses this time to get all the crap off them. As you pointed out last time.
What?
It was factual. So I'm messing around with them. They're just, it's just different. I don't think this will become a regular weapon in my arsenal of painting. More just give it a shot. Maybe model car painting. They would because these are like super bright gaming color type paint, not military dull drab natural colors, but these are like, you know, your bright blues and pinks and purples and oranges and stuff like that.
Just another tool in the toolbox.
Yeah, that's all it is. It is an interest. So when you bought, so I bought the big box set.
Holy cow!
They're not available individually yet.
Right.
And that was the last one Andy had in stock. So I bought the big box set because, you know, it's my birthday this weekend. So I bought myself a present.
And you're 20 what?
I'm 22.
Sure.
So so I spoiled myself a little bit and decided to give it a shot. And you know, I'm always willing to venture out there. And thank you, David. I'm always willing to venture out there and try new products, even if they fail miserably, like so many things have for me. Because, you know, well, if you don't try, you never grow, and you never get, you know, you got to be uncomfortable being, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Story of my life.
Story of your life. So, so yeah, I got these. They're neat. I don't know if any of the local game shops are going to pick these up or not. AK is more known. They do modeling or hobby colors, but they're more known for their military stuff.
I used to order the Bandai markers for the guys that bought Bandai down at Darren's shop. But they're harder and harder to get. They come out. They don't. I mean, to me, it's the only one I know that's consistently done a decent set of paint markers.
Okay.
AKIs, I've never used them, but they're probably good. But yeah, they have the felt tips are for what you want to use them for. They're a little easier than the ones that have the brush tip, which just Tamiya do. But they're not meant for detail work. They're not meant for anything, you know, for a large stuff. So
no, the colors aren't. There's no like super great highlight colors. They're all like mid baseline colors. There's some metallics and things. So I'll mess around with them. But the problem for me, synthetic tips curl. So that is going to be the future to see how they do for me, you know, using them if they start curling. But I picked them up. That's just something exciting.
No, absolutely. It's always fun to try something new. With my game down when I was down to games and stuff with Dave. I was telling Dave that one of the reasons I bought the Artist Opus brushes is that kind of forces me to lighten my hand a bit. Mm-hmm. And get more delicate with my paintbrushing, because I'm a very heavy-handed painter, as we've talked about probably 347 million times on the show, and it has worked actually. So I'm now going to start adding some texture to stuff which I've never done before. I am never going to muddy my tanks or weather my armor because I just don't like it.
Yes.
I cannot wrap my head around. It's like washing your car in the rain. I don't understand why. But I want to start adding some textures and stuff like that. And I want to probably with my Space Wolves, I want to really kind of, since this is my latest Space Wolf army, I want to try to make this probably one of my best armies I've ever done. So you're
like top tier.
Yeah. Normally in the past, I mean, this will be, when I start this, it'll be my 30th Space Wolf army that I've built for myself. And I don't know if you guys know this, the older you get, the less time you have. So this is probably one of my last armies I pay for myself over time. So I want this to be the one that I'm most proud of. So I'm working on some new techniques and whatnot. And plus I'm trying to clear my commission schedule to give me a window of about 3 to 4 weeks to just kind of try to knock them out and do what I can, make really nice. So
hardcore focus.
Yeah,
that's exciting. Well, I'm happy for you, dude.
I'm kind of excited about it. Yeah. So
one of the things I did to get ready, and this is just, you know, Mikey logic, because I know I'm this Wartime army. I'm really going to push myself, especially with the flesh tones, and really get a good recipe down for flesh tones and all that. But one of the things I did yesterday is I cleared off my entire hobby desk.
Right.
Wiped it all down, scrubbed off all the paint, actually took it down, broke it down, moved it away, cleaned behind it.
Morning, Mark.
Good morning, Mark. Cleaned behind my desk and then put it all back together, made some changes to my computer on the desk so that I have less clutter up there, and just kind of resetting my hobby space. So that way when I start this project. I feel like I'm starting fresh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it might be.
I right now have a disaster around me.
Yeah, but clearing your commissions will free you up.
Yeah, I'm literally normally what I do is I'll do a commission, I'll clean my desk, I start the next. But well, I'm usually working on 4 or 5 at a time.
Right.
And I cycle through it so I don't get bored of anyone. But before I start that cycle, but I've got paints on my desk now from projects that I've been worked on 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I just haven't put all my paints back yet. And so it's like,
good way to restart.
Yeah. So
since Mark has joined us, last time we had a show,
he was cursing your name before the show, Mark. Don't let him kid you.
I kind of like bragged up like how I'm inspired by Mark. So I actually went out and bought a Hemi Cuda. This is I think it's a 70s. 71 Plymouth.
Like 70, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just trying to kind of cleanse the palette a little bit and do something completely different before I jump in. I've already kind of jumped in, but I did a lot of work on the body, wet sanding it and getting it ready. I'm going to paint it. I'm trying this new paint, Createx, and I found this pearlized plum purple.
Ooh.
Which is something that I think would look good on a custom paint job. And this stuff comes out with like a satin finish. So it's not super glossy. So that way I can go in and paint all the trim detail over the satin. I don't have that gloss paint to deal with. And and it's already mixed for an airbrush. So gonna mess around with it, all inspired by Mark and all the work that he does. So something to do.
Mark builds tanks.
Mark did a car. He did what was it, Z28?
I don't remember the tanks.
Yeah. Well, speaking of tanks, Andy's Hobby Headquarters has 3 of their 1/16 scale tanks on sale this Memorial Day weekend. All American, 2 American, I think 1 British, on sale for $99.
Don't tell me that.
And he's got the late war Sherman that went late war 2 to Korea. So you got that one in there, and there was a couple others in there. I'm sure David could chime in and sell us on some 1/16 scale.
Most days, I lament that I live in a gaming hobby void area between Delaware, Maryland, and Pennsylvania. And then there's days like today that I'm glad that games and stuff is 70 miles away, that Jake's in Boston with Alpha Omega, and you guys are 2,800 miles away, and Andy's is even just a little bit further because it's on that side of the state. Because I would be crazy.
Yeah. Good morning, Tim.
Yeah, there's too many good hobby shops very, very far away from me, which is it's a curse and a blessing at the same time.
Yes, it is.
So.
Yeah, Mark, I think the plum purple is going to be fun for this, especially since it's pearlized, and I just want to mess around with the paints. So I'm gonna have a little fun with that.
It mildly triggered me.
What's that?
It mildly triggered me.
Why?
back in my race car days.
Yeah.
Back when I was in my early 20s, they did have cars then. For all you got ready to crack some jokes, Mark. I had a 72 442 that was.
Was it an Oldsmobile?
I was in an Oldsmobile.
Yeah.
442. Yeah. And it was quite gorgeous. My arch. We used to do a lot of street racing. Little quarter-mile drag race. That one right there. That's a 69. I had a 72. Biggest difference is the rear bumper. They go from round to rectangular headlights or tail lights.
And why do you think I have that model kit?
Because of me.
Yeah.
My arch nemesis in the drag racing side of my hobby at that time, which was 1-to-1 scale cars, was a Camaro called Plum Crazy, and he was pearlescent pearl.
Well, then I guess I'll have to change the color so that.
No, I use that beautiful color. I love purple. Purple is my favorite color. I just hate that car because I could never beat him.
Yeah, well,
made me crazy.
I understand. Well, Mark, it's sad to hear that you already have all the things that are on sale in 1/16 scale.
Yeah.
I also watched Andy's video. The next tank coming out is the Leopard in 1/16 scale. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that thing is just like the deck lid is like over a foot. I think it's over a foot or 2 feet long.
What? Yeah.
It's just massive.
If he ever does a Merkava, let me know.
Okay. I'll keep you on top of that.
For some reason, I mean, I was an American tanker, but for some reason, the Merkava just is a tank I absolutely love.
Yeah. So, good morning, Aaron.
Good morning, Aaron. How we doing?
Jeff Smith, did you have to use your feet to get going like Fred Flintstone?
I nailed that one right when I said Mark.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mark, truth be told, there's a reason I didn't call you and your MPA. Just like
you knew it would just be a great time.
It would be a great time. It would be fantastic. So yeah.
No,
I did not.
Huge.
Just in case you were curious.
The one thing, so I've watched a couple of Andy's, quite a few of Andy's videos as I was like cleaning and doing stuff. I just kind of had him playing, and one of the things he talked about with the 1/16 scale that he likes so much is the weathering is so much easier to do and looks so much more realistic with the techniques that we do because of the scale. Like when you do the chipping, it's a little bit more forgiving and easier, and the truth comes out. And all your mud effects and all that. Like Andy does the hardcore weathering. You, on the other hand, would do the showroom quality.
If I'm doing a military vehicle, it will be weathered. But on my 40K stuff, I prefer Hanna-Barbera, perfectly clean, colorful cartoon style paint jobs.
All right.
Yeah. So.
Well,
and no, that's not the truth, Mark. Truth is much worse.
Jason. So I was with Jason when we did all this. So Jason called me up. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "On." He's like, "Well, go with me to the GW store. I've got to pick he ordered some Witch Hunter models, the metal ones. So I guess you can, it's like that recasting or whatever they call it.
Yeah. Then you have them shipped straight to the store.
Yeah. So he had to go down there. So I'm like, cool. I've never met the store manager of the new GW store. So
is it a new manager or a new store?
New manager.
Yeah.
So John left. We got a new manager. And I said, hey, and since we're doing this, we'll head over to Andy's and we'll do all that. Oh, pretty good. Recently, I saw some interesting videos started YouTube where common green plastic army men are. Well, that's a good practice tool.
Yeah, it's not bad.
As long as your primers don't melt.
My grandson and I paint green army men all the time.
Yeah. So we went over there. I met the new store manager. Seems like a really solid guy.
Sure.
Brendan, I think, is his name.
Right.
I bought myself not a lot in the GW realm that I needed in life, but they had an orc bottle top opener.
You gotta have that.
So I had to have that. It's a terrible bottle top opener, man. This thing is so hard to use as a bottle top opener, but it's a cool axe, and I had to have it.
Absolutely.
So met him. Seems like a nice guy. Then we went over to Andy's, and Jason and I were just looking at all the tanks, and then we were like, yeah, we should do a build off, and we both built a 1/16 tank. And I'm like, okay. So
he's Mark's building a 1/16.
Oh, he's doing the Greyhound.
MA Greyhound. Yeah.
The Greyhound's a neat vehicle. Really neat vehicle.
Yeah.
So, but those were my adventures. What about you?
I have been, like I said, catching up on I'm trying to clear a lot of commissions off my desk. Just to get some time and some space so I can work on Space Wolves kind of exclusively for a while.
We got David too with us. Good morning, David too.
Hey, it's David Hummel. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, we got two Davids.
And then and when I'm not here at the painting desk working on commissions, I'm working on my 1-to-1 scale. Bad investment. It's really not. Now it's just basically just kind of getting things I know are going to go wrong. I knew it was going to go wrong.
Right.
Just general maintenance stuff, but I haven't worked on a car since I had the that 442 I mentioned earlier. So we got a water pump on it, and I got to replace the hoses, and I've replaced the serpentine belt. Just going through doing general maintenance at this point. So yeah.
Look at David trying to convince me to do a 1/16 scale build off with you. Well, I'll probably do it.
Yeah, well, Mark and I, like I told you earlier, Mark and I want to do a Space Wolf build off when the new Space Wolves come out. So we're probably gonna work on Grimnar together because we're both kind of excited about that model.
Grimnar is you're just gonna work on the one model, or are you gonna do the whole army?
Well, I'll probably just start with the Great Wolf, with Logan Grimnar himself, and go from there. But Mark, I want to talk to you at some point in the next couple weeks about having you on the show, also, by the way. So
That'd be fun to watch you two paint because Mark's going to bring a completely different set of skills
Yeah.
to his build. Might be some chipping on the armor, might be some weathering on the armor, where yours is going to be more that Hanna-Barbera, clean look. So
I like that clean look. But I know absolutely different, completely different styles.
Yeah,
completely different styles. So
that will be.
Mark is a phenomenal model builder. Actually, he's one of the guys that kind of inspire me as well because he's just such a great attention to detail, and it just works really, really good. So,
but this time, make sure you actually call Mark.
No.
Okay, Mark, you call him. One of you guys call each other.
We can't use anything other than the internet to communicate. It's just not allowed. We've only ever talked once. It was very scary. So.
Did you go into the fetal position afterwards?
I cried like a small child. So
that's that. There you go. So
yeah. So hit Mark and I are kind of like Greg and I. Greg Rothhauser, another good friend of mine.
He's in Sweden though.
He's in Sweden. But when we first met, we met as through Games Workshop. Greg and I our paths would have never crossed because we operate in massively different circles. But we met at GW. But one of the weird things about he and I, we have never, up until within the last 5 years, we never played a Games Workshop game ever.
Really?
Every time we got together to play a game, something happened and interrupted it. For example, we went to the last sales conference GW had in our day was back in 98, 99, where they flew all the trade sales guys to the UK.
Okay.
And everybody was off doing something. We had some kind of free time essentially. And we had our armies with us, and Greg and I were going to throw down for a game of 40K. It would have been our first game ever. And basically one of the higher ups at the UK office saw us. His name, Chris Harbour was his name. And he came and said, "Aren't you guys both from the US?" And we're like, "Well, yeah, but nothing's going on. We thought we'd knock out a game real quick." And he goes, "Nope, you can't play anybody from your country. You have to play somebody new." And we're kind of like, "Well, we've never played before." He goes, "Nope, you're from the same country." And then we just never could get together for years to actually, play a game. And when we did get together after we kind of went our separate ways with the company, we hadn't seen each other in so long, so we spent most of the time just chatting and catching up. And he and I both ride motorcycles, so we would ride bikes or something. And he came down a while back for a weekend, and we actually played a game of Kill Team. That was the first game we played. And Mark and I are kind of the same way. Mark and I have never really gotten together other than one time. Our friendship has been exclusively online. So it's actually be kind of weird him and I being in the same room actually talking.
I am going to just sit back and just let Mark take over and do what Mark does best, which is press all of your buttons.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think it goes both directions. So kind of like with you.
I think Mark has the upper hand.
Absolutely has the upper hand because I try to be a nice guy and he doesn't have it in him.
I can just imagine when you guys are playing tribes how that all worked out.
Oh, it was a good time. It was a good time, but it was a long time ago. So
well,
yeah, Mark, we're going to have you on the show, talk about what you do and how you do it, and then go from there. So
well, and speaking of having Mark on the show, we should have Mark on the show now and show off his model.
We could do that. We could do picks if you want.
Yeah, let's jump. We're going to jump into picks. We have one particular model we're going to focus on because
well, when we get to it, I've got other stuff to show. But
I know.
Wow.
Wow. There we go. Woo! That is that Legion or is that Shatterpoint?
I think it's Shatterpoint.
Okay.
This is Amos.
All right.
This is really weird. I have got this in the frameless view on my monitor.
Okay.
But the actual frame is still there. That's kind of weird. All right, cool. Anyway, yeah,
right.
This is Amos's General Grievous, which he's very proud of. It looks very, very cool.
I love it.
Very good paint job.
He's got good shading going on with that white.
Yeah. No, it looks really good.
Very cool.
He's worked on that very, 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 very long time. So
love it. I like the red under the cloak.
Yep.
Or the cape or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and this terrain looks really nice as well. Are we Is it not moving for you guys?
Well, your mouse is moving all over the place,
Yeah,
but
but
the picture's
hang
not
on a minute.
changing.
I think I know. But let's start this over again. I'm pulling what I'm going to start calling it Dave Taylor.
Uh-oh, what's a Dave Taylor?
Technological issues. Hang on.
Technology is not our friends.
Well, actually, Dan, I share that same thing. We get someplace we've never been before. We're like, what's going on?
What's happening? Okay, looking forward to bringing on this show again. I'll try ducks in a row before. All right.
All right, bear with me for just a second.
It's hard to herd ducks, though. I'll tell you that right off the bat. Did you?
Nope. I'm trying to get something done here. Hang on.
Okay.
I'm moving it to my second monitor just to make sure we're good to go.
Gotta love the live stream technical
technology.
Issues. Oh my
With
god!
Person at the keyboard.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the keyboard. Sometimes it's the equipment.
All right. Let's see. There we go. All right. Weird. As Darren used to call it, OTW. One time weirdness.
Sometimes you just got to turn it off and turn it on again.
Yep. So anyway, this is General Grievous.
Look at the glow effect going on.
Yep.
Very cool.
I really like I really like the bass right there. A lot of good work on the bass.
Yeah, David. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong. And
absolutely,
Jeff and I are the masters of figuring out stuff on the fly.
Two things we've learned is if we're trying something online, it's going to go wrong, whether it is technology using for the show or actually doing a demonstration of how to do something paint-wise on the show.
Yeah. There's supposed to be a new feature on StreamYard where we can put the comments on the stream.
Yeah, there is. I have to figure out how to get that done.
I don't know how. Oh, did I mess everything up?
I don't think so.
All right. I'll have to mess around with that. It'd be kind of cool to have the comments rolling on the stream.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, it's something new that popped up.
Yep.
Anyways, moving on.
But anyway, coming out really, this is really nice. Amos did a really good job on this.
Yeah.
Really good job.
So I like spindly. David saying it's so spindly he'd be afraid to break it.
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah. And he's actually starting. You got some texture on the cloak, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, looks good highlighting going on.
Yep.
But I agree that base with the green color in it really just makes him stand out.
Yep. No,
talk about a tactical rock. That dude's on a tactical rock.
Yeah. Yep.
So all your space wolves are going to be on tactical rocks. That is Shatterpoint. Okay.
Yeah. I thought it was Shatterpoint.
Yeah. And they're a little bit bigger too.
Yeah.
Scale wise, aren't they more like 30?
I can't speak from experience. I think they are, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. They are a little bit bigger. All right.
And then we get into some of Joe's new stuff.
There we go. That guy looks familiar on the right. Who is that guy?
The guy on the right?
Well, now he's on the left. Now he's on the right.
Count Dooku. It looks like Count Dooku from.
Yeah, Count Dooku.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Do you know what scale they are, Joe, or is it just larger? Very cool. The other dude's so short. Looks like you got a couple different things going on here, Joe. Very cool. Green Marines.
These are guardsmen. I forget the
38, Joe thinks. So yeah, they are much larger. Which gives you opportunity to put in more detail.
These are some kind of Imperial Guard or Adeptus.
Yeah, I think they're 40. Oh, 40. They're cool. I like them.
Very cool.
Palatine Enforcers.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know I painted a ton of them.
Oh, Joe's using them for Stargrave. Very cool. Stargrave is a very fun game.
And this is a new project for Tim.
Yeah. I wonder what those are.
I don't know.
Gobbos. Gotta have them. I still have a bunch of metal ones of these dudes. I love my Gobbos. That's an Orc Shaman. He's a shorty. Yeah. Some Necromancers. And tanks.
Just some Team Yankee stuff Tim's working on.
Yeah. Tanks. Oh, I can't wait till some of the more modern stuff comes out. I'd love to see an Abrams in 116.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice.
It would just be a serving table. Oh, look at those bad boys. Those will reach out and touch something.
Yeah, big 155s.
Yeah. Yes, David. The gobos in those necromancers are 3D printed. Ooh, Cobra Time.
Yes.
Such a great helicopter. Window effects looks good.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, it's nice to put a little gleam into your windows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it.
And then it's some Western Town stuff.
Yeah, Tim got the itch to get back into the Old West. So maybe it's an Arizona thing. I don't know. But these are the Dead Man's Hand plastic buildings. They're neat kits. Like kind of like a, what was it, Saracen?
Yeah.
Remember the wooden, like they got.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they got that vibe to them. They're nice kits, dude, for plastic.
Yeah, they look good.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I am too, David. I'm kind of an Apache fan myself.
Yeah, Apache.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And that brings us to the model in question.
The model in question, Mark's tank. Now this won gold, but not just any gold.
That's the last picture. We'll get there. Just take a look at it.
Okay.
Don't spoil it.
I'm a spoiler. I spoil everything.
Everybody, if anybody looked at Discord, they should already know. But
yeah. But
this
really,
is again massively fantastic stuff.
Yeah. This is what's inspiring me to do some different things.
Yeah.
So thanks, Mark. You're inspiring me.
He's going to be impossible to live with now.
I'm all inspired up.
No, it's gorgeous. That's so beautiful. I mean, there's just the weathering, everything, the stowage, everything is just perfect.
Yeah. Just gorgeous.
And it took gold in the advanced category at the APMS Nationals up in Pittsburgh.
So it's not. So there's like different levels, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Of entries, and Mark went into the advanced entry and brought home the gold to the show.
Yeah. So. Well done, sir.
Yes, very well done. Yeah. Well deserved too.
Yeah.
Like that is just
absolutely fantastic vehicle.
Yeah, it's just gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I mean, I love everything about it. Fantastic. Yeah.
Well, the work, the weathering, it's not over weathered. It's that middle zone of weathering to make it just look like it's been out on service.
Yeah.
Now when it gets back, Jeff will get out and wash it and shine it all up and polish it.
Get rid of all that rust.
He'll get the buffing wheel out and he'll buff it and he'll make it all look shiny and bright. Yeah, Mark, well deserved, man. I think you did fantastic.
Well done, sir.
I'm super proud of your work. I just love it.
No, it's fantastic. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So and if you don't want to go out and buy a new model kit like you did, Mike, then you're really not paying attention. It really does. This thing just it makes you. I mean, I every time I look at Mark's stuff, I prefer aircraft kits, and it makes me want to grab one of my 32nd scale. I've got a 32nd scale Corsair, and I keep telling myself. I've even talked to Mark about it, that I want to take one day. You remember when I used to get that mail model that was mailed to me for the Enterprise?
Yeah. The metal model.
Days a month to work on it.
Yeah.
I want to do that with my 32nd scale Corsair. I just have not, and it's not. I'm not going to say I don't have the time. I could make the time to do it. I just haven't done it yet because just having a place to put that where I can leave it while I'm working on other stuff is just a difficult chore, and I just haven't got it done yet. But every time I see anything Mark does, makes me want to get that kit out and just work on it all day long.
Yeah. Well, that's why I went out and bought the CUDA.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just inspired. I didn't get a military tank, but I was just inspired to
just do a scale plastic model of any kind.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. So
well, and you paint them differently than you do our miniature models.
Absolutely, it's a whole different every technique Mark uses can transfer to miniature painting and miniature wargaming. But the basic skills to get a tabletop quality army out there are completely different than what Mark does there.
Yeah.
So no, it's a beautiful piece. Absolutely great.
And building stuff like that tank is a different building concept because there's so many tiny little parts, and some of them will introduce you to the photo etch stuff, and you have to learn how to deal with photo etching, which is something that we don't see a lot in the gaming industry. There's some photo etch stuff out there, but not a lot. So
no,
we're going to do a Corsair buddy that kind of grand.
I want to. I just got to get my table cleared and just get my schedule cleared.
Well, you got Space Wolves coming, so it's going to be a while.
Yeah. And then I get the honor of following this gorgeous kit with some of my stuff, which is just basically my Astral Templars. That's a commission build. He doesn't want me to do the bases, so the bases aren't done.
Okay.
But they're just the Astral Templars.
Did you put the texturing on the base, or did he?
Nope, he built them and put that texture on the base. He just wanted me to paint the models. He has an existing army that these are going in, so he wants the base to match exactly, which, quite frankly, as a commission guy, I appreciate, because trying to match somebody else's work is a pain in the tuchus.
Especially like with that gravelly texture.
Yeah,
like,
that's woodland scenic ballast.
Okay.
It's got that kind of a rounded look to it. At least that's what it looks like to me. Which they're going to look great, but he does the bases himself, and he wants them all to match, and I completely, that's not a problem at all. I'd much rather somebody tell me that than for me to try to match something he's already done.
Well, and as a paint, like obviously the person you're commissioning for knows how to paint, so it gives them a little buy-in to their models.
Yeah, but I love these Astral Templars. I love the color.
What color is that though? That red?
That is a base coat of contrast paint called Volupus Pink.
Oh,
Volupus Pink, whatever. It's VOLUPUS Pink. And then you go back over the raised parts with Screamer Pink. GW.
Well, creates a nice look.
Yeah, it's a really, really nice look. And so I'm going to probably finish that commission up this weekend because I've still got another 10 models to do.
Okay.
And that'll get shipped out. But I like this look. So
very nice.
And there we go. That is today's picks.
Thank you all very much for posting your pictures. We appreciate it. It gives us something to chat about.
Yeah, no, it was also, everybody's out there working, doing hobby stuff, which is awesome, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was doing before the show. I did end up for my Wartime Army. I just ended up buying bases from a guy on Etsy.
Right.
They're just like a wood plank, boring kind of a base. But I think it works. And they're 30 mil.
Right.
Which puts them right in that middle zone because the army that I'm painting up is the Dark Goth army or whatever.
Right.
The models that I'm using. And the troops go on 28 mils and the leaders go on 32 mil. Putting them at 30 mil, I could still use them for spearhead if I wanted to. I'm only a couple millimeters off. I'm sure if someone wanted to be technical, they could be technical and say, you can't do that. I'm like, then I can't play you. But I'm not that picky about that kind of stuff. I'm just like, but I think 30 is an actual good size for this particular project that I'm working on, because these models are all very dynamically posed with arms and weapons sticking all over the place.
Right.
So the 30 gives me a good circumference, like this is where they should be, and that would work. You need to check out Bases by Bill. Bases by Bill. All right, I'll check them out.
My go-to guy is Dragon Forge. He does a lot of really nice scenic bases. So
yeah, I was just poking around because we were talking about doing cobblestone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was looking at the cobblestone plastic card, and I was just going to cut it. And then, when you go on a search on the internet, you find all kinds of stuff.
Oh God, yeah.
Some good, some bad. So I ended up on Etsy sites and just started hunting around on Etsy sites. Found these models. I was like, or these bases. I'm like, these will be perfect for what I'm doing, and I don't have to put a lot of effort behind them.
Right.
A little bit of a dark brown wash, a little dry brush over top of them, and done. but I really want to push my limits on my skin tones. That's the whole idea behind this project, is really just focusing skin tone. That's why all my dudes are shirtless. I do have all my female warriors. I had to do a lot of model conversion to get all my female warriors to work, because a lot of the female warriors were meant to have axes or spears, and the rules that are for your swordsman unit. Well, they're women though, but swords people unit. I can't say swordsmen because they're women.
Right.
But for that unit, because you get a special bonus if you actually have a sword.
Sure.
So I had to make sure all of them had sword and shield.
Yeah. Okay.
And disappear down. I go down rabbit holes like you wouldn't believe, David.
Yeah, I went down one the other day and ordered a new pair of magnifying glasses.
I just went to the doctor and got a new pair of glasses. So,
woo! Look at you. You can see again. I have to get my prescription changed as well.
Yeah. Well, I keep my frames. I just get new lenses because I'm cheap.
Well, you don't know all that.
Nothing wrong with that. I don't. I like durable frames. So
yeah, nothing wrong with that.
So yeah. So this is a project that's kicking off, and it'll probably take me the rest of the year to finish it.
Again, nothing wrong with that. So
yeah. Well, I want to be able to like play the game, even though I'm getting over this mindset that the army has to all be painted before I play.
Yeah,
I'm getting over that. That used to be my mindset because I was a painter. As a painter, you want a painted army. So I'm trying to kick that down the road, and I'll get them primed and get them zenithal highlights so you can see some better details, because gray is a terrible color.
Sure.
Just for detail purposes. But I just want to start playing. I just want to get them on the table, push them around, watch them die, watch them live, do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, it's fun.
Yeah. So
it's a lot of fun. So
lots of fun.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to getting my new army started. But yeah, I'll probably play it before it's fully painted. So
yeah. Well, you also have an existing army painted.
I have my wolf spear, but the other problem with the fully painted army, the armies are constantly changing and developing.
Yeah.
Especially when you're playing an army for the first or second time. Like I said, my wolf spear army that I did for Tale of Four Warlords is dramatically different than what it was when I first started it. So I got a lot of new stuff to add to it. So your army's kind of evolving all the time anyway. So it's always best to play test it as you're painting it, because you can make those changes and make those advancements and that kind of thing. So
that's actually really good advice.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I used to have to guys in the store. I didn't have a problem with them bringing in. The only table it's a shop back at Waterloo was they had a front table that was by the front window. The entire front of the shop was glass. And I said I didn't want any non-painted armies on that table. When people walked in, I wanted to see the full impact of miniature wargaming.
Right.
But in the game room, I didn't have a problem with guys coming in with gray armies, as long as we saw progress.
Yeah.
And it was all about progress. And everybody back there did exactly that. And then I even had one kid that came in, and he had a 1 unit of plain plastic models on movement trays. It was a game of Warhammer.
Okay.
And for those young guys, you would call it old world. And the rest of his movement trays had pennies in them. And
I like this kid.
Yeah. So what are you doing? He goes, well, I don't paint that well, and I'm trying to get them assembled. So he was the only guy that ever I had to make him pay a bounty if he wanted to play in the shop, because we didn't charge for tables.
Right.
But I said if he wanted to play in the shop, I had to see at least one rank of a unit done, painted. Didn't have to be painted well, but it had to have 3 colors. Base had to be painted, and he started doing that. And he slowly but surely built a really nice high elf army. And when I came back out in 2015 was when I got out there, I ran into him and found out that because I forced him to paint to play in the shop, because he used to play Tim DeVork all the time, and he was just a kid at this time. But he actually was a commission painter, and that's how he got through college.
Oh, look at that. You changed a life.
Yeah, well, it happens once in a while.
Every once in a while.
He was a good kid. He was a really good kid. His name is just completely eluding my Swiss cheese colander style brain. Yeah, but it was good. But yeah, if you're building an army, and you play it with, some models painted, some models not, because an army is going to evolve. You're not going to write one list and then paint that list completely and then play it when it's fully painted and have that list not change unless you're a genius. I've known one guy in my life that the first army he built always was the most playable army. That's because he had a mind he was insane, because he could literally be putting an army together, whether it be 40K or fantasy, and go through it and know exactly, because back then you had magic item cards and all this stuff. He could literally put it all together in his head as he was building it, and he would build an army that was undefeatable. It was just insane. It was something fun to watch, horrible to play.
Well, and if you look back though, GW wasn't nearly as responsive to change either.
Oh, absolutely. That's true.
They were very slow at making the changes and doing all that stuff. What's that? But nowadays it could be, hey, here's a new codex next week. Here's an update. Like, because they're so much more responsive that it does make it, you can't really plan out, this is going to be my army for even like a year, for like a tournament season. Yeah. Because your army is going to change with all the updates. And
we used to joke about it. Well, when I went nuts for Votan, which in my mind are squats.
I went nuts for Votan. That sounds like a fun shirt.
Yeah. Crazy for Votan. Because they were squats, and that's the only other army I've ever personally played for 40K were squats back in the day. Which again, just a reminder, that was a Tuesday.
Yeah. It was a beautiful sunny day.
It was a beautiful day back in the day. It was on a Tuesday. I remember it well. And they changed the entire point value of the entire army like a week after the Codex came out, which was a curse and a blessing. We were actually talking about it, how that was kind of silly and what the heck are they doing. But I also, if you look back at it, I hadn't really bought anything beyond that one box set yet.
Yeah, so it didn't change your army.
I didn't invest a whole bunch of money for stuff that was going to change dramatically. I don't want to do. Or crazy for Votan.
Crazy for Votan. We'll make a special cereal box just for you.
We need to have another cereal day, by the way.
Totally down with that. Another cereal day. We'll
another morning cereal day. So
we'll have to put it on the calendar because it is summertime. Like schools are out, so this is the time when cereal eating and watching cartoons was all the rage.
Well, we have been busy with our real lives for a while, because we have always done some very, very interesting. Like, for example, you and I've got our we're talking about doing the rogue trader build.
Yeah,
going to build stuff from the original rules from what would be called edition 1 of 40K Rogue Trader, which I've already broke my squats out, and I'm actually working on getting that army assembled, by the way.
Okay. The OG army. I haven't done shit.
I've done nothing.
I've done nothing.
Well, I live by myself, and the only time I get a break is when my grandkids stop by, and so I had to correct my oldest daughter for the first time. I don't know how many years. She got lippy with her dad. Yeah, it was horrible. I was so angry. We're talking, just having a conversation. We're hanging out. I'm helping her print birthday invitations for her daughter's birthday, my granddaughter's birthday. And out of her mouth comes the most obnoxious thing she's ever said to me in her life.
Oh, my.
Dad, you do know in 2 years I'll be 40. I was so offended by that. It just set me off. And I said, young lady, you ever use that kind of language around me again?
Oh, my God.
It was like, what? How dare you? Yeah, I've got a daughter that in 2 years turns 40. It just completely ripped my sense of reality, because my 14-year-old brain, who has a 61-year-old body, could not handle that kind of a gear change at that speed that I was traveling.
Well, have you told Darren this story yet?
No, I probably will eventually.
You might not want to tell Darren this story.
Yeah.
Because he's godfather, right?
He's godfather of my younger two, not my oldest. He's godfather of my younger two.
But he knows your children well.
My youngest daughter, who she came to me and she goes, Dad, she goes, and Darren and I talk a lot, and he's still, to the kids, he's still Uncle Darren, because he lived at our place for on and off for quite a while.
Right.
Back in the day. Again, a Tuesday. She comes, she goes, Dad, she goes, can you get a message to Uncle D for me? And I went, yeah, sure. What you need? And she goes, because she hosts Thanksgiving for us every year.
Okay.
And she said, I talked to my sisters, and we really want Uncle Darren to come out for Thanksgiving this year.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And I said, well, I would love to have him. It'll be great. And she goes, and let him know that we're so serious about it. If he says he can't afford the ticket, we'll buy it because we really want to see Uncle D. And so I told him that kind of made his day because they love him to death.
Yeah.
And he is Uncle Darren. And but my daughter was like, in 2 years, Dad, I'll be 40. Like, shut up.
Well, then Darren can stay at your place.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You guys can hang out and do Maryland stuff.
He came out right after we moved here from Phoenix when I went to work for workshop when I was living down in Odenton, down in Baltimore. He came out for a week and hung out with us, but he hasn't been out since. And there's a lot of places he and I want to go on this side of the country. There's a couple of Air Force bases, some historical sites, that kind of thing.
So David's talking about Hummel, that his daughter is 27. And his godson just turned 18, so he's feeling the pinch.
Yeah, there's no greater reminder. I mean, you get up every day with aches and pains, pops, cracks. You sound like a bowl of Rice Krispies when you get up in the morning. But having your oldest daughter remind you that she's getting ready to turn 40 in 2 years just makes you want to just really kind of just pulls the curtain back. Oh man, I am actually old.
Well, that's when you hear your favorite album you used to listen to as a kid turn 40.
That happened to me one day when I got into an elevator and the music in the elevator was an AC/DC song.
Yes.
It's like, okay, this is stuff that I used to get yelled at for listening to.
Yeah.
So
and just a comment to Mark's statement, we're all glad you can't post gifts in the comments section. Our comment section would be nothing but gifts all day.
It's kind of funny Mark brings that up because yesterday he and I are chatting and about because he actually sent me a text. Hey Jeff, I'm really, really sorry that we didn't get together while I was back for the APMS show. He goes, but I was waiting for your call and you never called. And I just replied back, I just typed LOL. That's kind of funny because I didn't show because I was waiting for you to call me. So where the chat continues, and finally he goes, well, I understand that, Jeff, because a lot of people get really flustered in my greatness or my presence or something like that. And I started laughing. So I spent the next 20 minutes looking for some kind of GIF of a guy that was being blinded by light, gaze. I can't look at your greatness. I'm so sorry, but I couldn't find one. So so I'm glad they don't have those because it just I thought about maybe I have to do that. So it was just fun. And then of course my granddaughter, my 13-year-old granddaughter, didn't help any because she walks in after that and shows me her first official YouTube post.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, this is just too much. Now I've got a 13-year-old wanting to be an influencer. She's jumping on YouTube.
Uh-oh.
So, yeah, and it was just basically her talking about how she likes her Chick-fil-A meal. So, whatever. That's a good time. So
I like Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I do too, actually.
A new restaurant opened up in our neck of the woods called Shake Shack.
Yeah.
That was delish. I got really scared last week watching my youngest graduate from high school. David, your youngest graduated high school.
Yeah.
She was just born. No, she's graduating high school, boy.
Yeah, well, it gets better. They graduate high school, and then if they're a daughter, they end up getting married. You have to walk them down the aisle. I've done that twice. And so it's an interesting path. So,
well, life kind of flies by because unfortunately we spend the majority of our lives either working at a place or sleeping, and the time that we spend with our loved ones is so small in a day and sometimes you're just exhausted or you got adulting to do around the house that you don't necessarily always stop and see what's going,
which is why, guys, just to jump into just to let you guys know, it's very, very important that you spend as much time as you possibly can with your miniatures because they won't be around forever. Because the company that makes the miniatures that you love will make new ones.
And then they'll change the rules.
Yeah, they'll change the rules, and you have to buy more. And it's just heartbreaking. So,
well, the only GIF I want to post right now is Kermit the Frog looking out the rainy window, going, just waiting for Space Wolves to arrive.
Oh my God.
I got the tracking number, just waiting.
That's been so appropriate because we have had the weirdest weather up here. I feel like I'm living in London right now because it has done nothing for the last 4 days but rain. Right now it's 60 some degrees outside. It got down to 40 last night, and we're at the end of May.
Yeah.
So I'm having this terrible feeling that August and July are going to be the sweltering, humidity-filled cesspool of heat.
Well, Joe's wife made a post on Facebook I read one day, and it said, "Welcome to May. It may rain, it may not, it may be cold, it may not, it may be hot," because that's why it's called May.
Oh,
you just never know what you're gonna get.
I've been meaning to go out and replace the water hoses on my Explorer now for 3 days, and it's been pouring down rain. And today it started off bright and sunny, but it's already gone cloud cover. So I've got to go out and look out because I'm not going to go crawl around in the car in the rain. It's not happening.
No, nothing worse than yuck.
Yeah.
I got a request of the viewers.
Oh no.
Find a GIF that best represents Jeff waiting for his Space Wolves and post it in Discord, and we can share them next week.
I can send pics of me because I do that all day long. I'm like, oh.
Well, with your window right there, it faces the front of your apartment, right?
Yeah, I'm looking out in the parking lot right here. This is
when you're waiting for a package, you're just literally looking out the window. Anytime a shadow or a sound or something comes up, you're like, ooh, ooh.
It's very funny because literally to get to my apartment, you have to drive down the road right out this window here. And when I'm waiting for Amazon or UPS, I'm like,
oop, oop, oop. You're like a dog hearing a noise.
And it's kind of funny because along the bottom of my window are my gigantic army painter racks that are just under 18 inches tall. So they go halfway up the 2 windows that I got here. So it's literally me going.
You're like a little like ghost popping up out of the hole.
Is that UPS? Is that Amazon?
Yeah. So if you can find an appropriate, I'll have to. Mark's watching, so I'll have to say appropriate.
Oh yeah.
Appropriate GIF of Jeff waiting for his Space Wolves to arrive. Put it in the What's New with Mike and Jeff channel on the Discord, and if Jeff is up to it, maybe we'll share that. I don't know if we can share the GIF itself, but we can try. Maybe we'll just show pictures.
I will start this off right after that. I already have a gift in mind.
All right.
That will reflect what I'm going through right now. I will post that first. Where do you want them to post them?
Under the What's New with Mike and Jeff channel.
All right. So I will post mine as soon as I'm off the show today, the one that I have in mind.
It can be a GIF or it can be a meme. A meme.
A meme. A meme. A meme.
Meme. Mimi. Tips on. Open. Because we don't know if we can share GIFs through the way you do it. Like, well, I guess you could put them all in a file and just open them one at a time.
Yeah, do something.
We'll mess around with it, but it can be a GIF.
We'll do something.
Or
if nothing else, I'll just open the Discord and we'll share the screen with the Discord and we'll scroll
there
down
you
go. Channel. Yeah,
so,
we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Just keep it clean.
So as best you can.
As clean as you can. I know Mark probably has some restrictions on
Mark right now has probably 30 of them.
Save. He probably has like a special.
I like this one. I like that one.
He probably has like a special Jeff folder on his cell phone where you can just open it up and immediately just have one to send.
Yeah, he's writing a book right now called 101 Ways to Wind Jeff Up. So.
Well, it's probably 1,001 ways, but we'll give you credit for 101 ways. Well, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah. So yeah,
I have a folder. He does have a folder.
It's a very, very, very gigantic folder. Very, very.
What's higher than a gigabyte?
Terabyte.
It's a terabyte folder.
Yeah.
And he has a special removable drive.
He's blowing us off for working at a model shop. How annoying is that?
Oh my gosh, David. Well,
Rub it in. I've got to go sell some plastic models.
not just anything. He's got to sell those 1/16 tanks.
Yeah.
Oh my! Thanksgiving's gonna have a whole teraflops. we could do a 1/16 Thanksgiving month.
Oh.
And it could just be a tank for the whole month. It doesn't have to be 1/16. It could be any scale. Like
any tank for new Thanksgiving.
New Thanksgiving.
Well, if I'm looking at the vehicles, I will probably have a few Space Wolf tanks to work on.
Hopefully, I would see something coming down the pipes. Maybe something new, or maybe a bit sprue or something like that.
Yeah.
Or an upgrade sprue.
Yeah. Well, I've got an executioner there that I'm working on, but also I think I'm going to focus on Land Raiders for my Space Wolves.
Really?
Stay away from the grab vehicles for my wolf spear, which I'm going to continue building.
Right.
Because quite frankly, the wolf spear should technically fall under the new Space Wolf Codex.
Okay.
I'm going to stick to them with most Primera stuff, the repulsors and the grab stuff. But I'm going to try to make the wolves more old school with the actual land vehicle, like the Land Raiders and stuff like that. So.
All right. Well, it sounds like Mark's in for our Thanksgiving, because I guess if we limit it to 1/16, that pushes a lot of people out. If we just say tanks, you could be 40K. It could be like a large transport or something from Age of Sigmar. I don't know what's in Age of Sigmar that would classify as that, but they do have some weapons of mass.
There's a lot of big war machines.
Yeah, be something like that. You could go military. You could even go any other.
If you play any MMOs, the definition of tank in an MMO is the guy you put in the center of the combat that can take a lot of damage.
There you go.
Technically, by that definition, a dreadnought would be considered a tank. Anything when you're playing an MMO, when what you call your tanking, you're the guy that goes into the middle of the fray, that can stand there in the middle and take a beating, and then you have a guy that's healing whatever character you're playing. Yeah. So if we apply that definition to Thanksgiving, then you can pretty much take anything in there. Like, for example, when I played Dave 2 weeks ago, my dreadnoughts were tanking. They were taking pretty much and Dave had a ton of weapons coming at me fire-wise.
Yeah.
My 2 dreadnoughts stood there for 2 turns and just took a beating. And before he finally took them out. And that's exactly what they were supposed to do. So
there you go. That would be our definition of a tank. David's saying maybe I'll have some more of the chapters motor pools painted by then.
Oh. Yeah, he's working on a ton of stuff like that. So yeah, that'd be great. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think it'll just be fun. Well, you normally do October, but it would be kind of cool maybe to switch it up and do a Thanksgiving. Old GW Thanksgiving just requires a vehicle to have an armor value. There you go.
There you go.
But again, you could also branch out. I would say let's get comfortable being uncomfortable, and maybe do a military model tank. Come in a variety of scales.
Well, that actually brings me to something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. I'd like to see us on our weekly presentations of the miniatures, which I plan on doing, but I'd like to see us start maybe having a theme for like every quarter.
Okay.
Where we pick a technique, and or the viewers can vote on a technique. We put that in somewhere on some kind of new technique that people aren't doing enough of, versus just throwing painted stuff up there on a picture, which is fine. But I'd also like for example, this is the first time I've seen Amos do the texturing on a cloak.
Okay.
I'd like to see guys throwing stuff up there and letting us know in the Discord, hey, I tried this technique. Whether it's layering, dry brushing, texturing, sculpting, just something, because you and I have always preached, and you infected me with this get out of your comfort zone mentality.
Me and my
you and your self-help crap. But it would be cool if we could start getting guys to kind of take a look at that and kind of branch out of those comfort zones to just try new stuff, new techniques, stuff that a perfect example is Don.
Okay.
Don is always trying new stuff.
Yes.
But he's not really good at just putting in there, hey, here's what I'm doing now.
And that's where I was going to go with that. Maybe instead of just posting, hey, here's what I painted, do a little bit more like what Mark does. Like, hey, here's how I painted.
Yeah.
This. Yeah. That way we have a little bit of information to go, I tried doing edge highlighting, or I tried doing glazing, or I tried doing, I'm learning how to do this, or I'm learning how to do that, and breakaway. It could even be as simple as I'm just trying something new with my basing materials.
Sure.
So here we go. That way it's not, we could try to be more specific, but people might not be at that point in the projects that they're working on to be that specific.
Right.
So if we start talking about edge highlighting, well, I just based my models. So
yeah, but if they just let us know in the comment when they post their model, hey, I tried, one of the things I'm getting ready to try, which again is something I never thought I'd say. I'm getting ready to try snot. I've not used this before, so it's going to be something new. I'm gonna try out. What is Dave? Mark says he can help with new techniques.
Yeah, if anyone's interested.
Well, and that's perfectly fine, Mark, because we're not going to stop showing the pictures.
No.
So you can still post everything you want to, but I'd like to start seeing more people letting us know what techniques they're kind of experimenting with, or what they started, or what they've actually been doing for a while, but they've actually got to the point they feel like they were doing it well.
Right.
That kind of stuff, where we start talking about more of that kind of a thing. Because it gives you and I stuff to chat about.
Yeah.
But it also kind of makes it a little more interesting for guys to actually go to our Discord and look.
Well, it also gives us an opportunity to provide feedback. Like my experience with doing the technique that you're talking about, this is some things that I've done to do that technique. Like if it's an edge, a glaze, a blend, or something like that. So we can always do that. Like David's, he doesn't have time to get out of his comfort zone and get fancy.
Well, if you look at the number of tanks he posted on what he's working on, I get that. But that's yet another thing, because we also get to see, like, for example, I've never really talked about how I work on commissions. I don't take a commission and work on it from start to finish.
Right.
I don't, because I end up doing what I did and what I'm doing right now with these Dark Angels that are sitting here. I did so many Dark Angel commissions, and that's all I worked on, that I am so burnt on doing Deathwing that I'm having a really hard time getting motivated to get these guys done. Right. Luckily for me, the guy that these belong to is actually extremely patient.
Mark's going to IKEA. Probably needs to buy a new cabinet for his gold medal. Have a great day, Mark.
Yeah, Mark, have a good time, buddy. We will talk about getting on the show and techniques and stuff. So maybe what we ought to do, Mark, hopefully you're still watching, is have maybe a kind of an online powwow privately between the three of us.
Yeah, we can do that
and coordinate. So that'd be great.
I don't know if Mark's used to using StreamYard or not. So
he'll figure it out. Well, he's a tech guy, so he should be able to figure out any problem at all.
Yeah, I didn't know what it did.
Yeah, he's an IT tech guy. So
yeah, so
I mean, he sold me a laptop, or not a laptop. He sold me a PC back in the day. It was actually fantastic.
Well, I tend to bounce. Okay, July 7th would be good.
June 7th. There's an glasses, please.
Well, I got new ones and I haven't put them on yet.
You saw the J, you saw the U, and then that you went right with pew.
I just assumed. I made an assume.
Yeah,
but maybe that's one of the things that we need to start talking about more instead of just showing the photos.
Yeah,
is, hey, what techniques are you trying? Please, when you post your photos, give us a little bit of.
Well, David, I work on 4 or 5 projects at a time, and I rotate through them.
Yeah,
I'll work on one, and then I'll hit a point. I'll set that aside. Whenever I start feeling like, I'm kind of in that grind, I will then switch projects. So I'm using different colors, different techniques, the whole works, and it keeps things kind of fresh.
Why do you think I'm doing a car?
Absolutely, and David's saying, I mean, he's got so many tanks there, but he switches around. That's one of the reasons why my desk is always a mess. I've literally got right around me right now 5 commissions. I've got 2 that I'm building and 3 that I'm painting, and I'm kind of just rotating through them. And then I hit a certain point that I have to finish them. I'll focus on that one project until it's done, which is what I'm doing with these Astral Templars.
Yep.
But I honestly think the pictures would have more meaning.
Yes. I guess that's what we're looking for.
Don't stop posting your general picks. Nobody has to do what we're asking. You can just keep posting your general picks. But if you're working on something new, or you think you've mastered something, or you think you want to try something new, throw that up there in the comments.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it.
Perfect. Yeah. I think that's what we should do.
Yeah. Awesome. Sorry. I got a little sidetracked.
Well, because then we can also, instead, like we can bring Discord actually onto the channel, because we can actually share Discord on the channel, and we can actually see the questions they're asking. We can actually show everybody's comments.
what they're working
and
on.
then we can actually show the picture separately if we wanted to,
Yeah,
but that might be a little bit trickier.
I can know what I can actually do, and I have zero problem doing it. If you guys put a comment next to the pic, when I actually save the pic, I can go into the pic and edit it and put text on the pic.
There you go.
Where I can actually say, hey, he's working on this. And you know, right now I throw him up there, but I can actually go a little bit further with how we do pics and actually put on there that hey, you know, David's working on this and he's trying, you know, these new techniques, or that he's done these techniques. He doesn't anything like that. So we actually talked about a little bit more.
David has a squirrel brain, he just said.
All miniature painters have a squirrel brain. I'm sometimes amazed that Mark can stay focused on one project as long as he does.
I wouldn't be surprised if Mark had 15 projects on his desk.
He probably does.
At any one given time. And he's probably like most modelers, like there's probably started projects that got put back in the box and put on a shelf, or something just didn't set right, or something just irritated them. Instead of getting mad and trying to fix it, just box it up, put it away, and come back to it another day.
Yeah. We all have those.
All right. Well, that sounds good. I like what you're talking about, because I think it's important that we've got to try to motivate and try to get people pushing themselves to do a little bit more, or just try some different things. It's easy to get stuck in the rut, especially like I get stuck in a rut a lot when I'm playing my solo RPGs.
Right.
Like certain concepts or words or phrases get stuck in my head. And that's why I'm always looking for ways of getting out of that. So it's not just rinse and repeat, and just doing the same, just pushing it. That's why I'm doing this army. Like I want to push myself.
Yeah. No.
So mine would be the first one, because I'm pushing my flesh tones. So
yeah, well, I've got that new Space Wolf stuff coming, and so once that hits, that's gonna be my big thing. So
yeah, so maybe that's what I'm planning to work on this dude today.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll get some photos. I'll see how far I get with it. It's flesh tone.
You're on solo RPGs? ?
Yeah, I do solo RPG stuff just to relax. I have a YouTube channel called Solitaire RPG, and that's where I just talk about products and gaming stuff and philosophy of solo RPGs. And
because deep down he doesn't like people.
You know, believe it or not, I am way going out of my comfort zone this Tuesday. So Tuesday, that bright shiny day we were talking about.
Well, any day you're talking forward or backward is a Tuesday.
Okay, so Tuesday, actually this Tuesday is a repeat of a Tuesday many years ago when I used to be a member of Toastmasters.
Right.
One of my trainings that I went through of self-help and improvement and stuff like that, things that you and I talked about offline.
Sure.
Is trying to meet new people and kind of get social. So I'm actually going to get back into Toastmasters, because I used to take part in a lot of the public speaking competitions that they offered. And I, believe it or not, love talking to groups of people.
Yeah.
It's weird, but I actually do. So
never noticed.
What's that?
Missed it completely. Never noticed that.
Never noticed that?
Never.
So I'm actually going to join a club that meets locally in the evening times. And well, I'm going to go visit this Tuesday. I haven't decided if I'm going to join. I'm going to go visit this Tuesday and see if I click with the people, but I'm sure I will.
Yes, and well, you get along with pretty much anybody, so.
Pretty much. I'm pretty flexible. Yeah, they're kind of like endless quest adventure books or choose your own adventure books, like the fighting fantasy stuff, and that's where a lot of my solo gaming came from. But I'll play D&D solo. I play all kinds of games solo, and sometimes it's just one afternoon I roll up a character and I go get them in front of somebody and we get no fight, and that's all I do. It's not like I have this endless quest of an adventure going on. It's just I just enjoy the creativity that it allows me.
Yeah. No. Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was actually one of the reasons, and I'm miserable because one of the reasons I got into Marvel United because it had a solo aspect to it. Mm-hmm. And I had every intention of putting that on my table and having that, and just every once in a while playing, working on that. And I may do that. I'm actually thinking about right now when I get done with the show today, I'm going to set that up. So tonight I'll play some solo, Marvel United. Mm-hmm. But I have to go put a new water hose on my.
Maybe it depends on what your weather's like.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, I not gonna that. So
You may be stuck inside all day.
well, I'll make every day the same then.
Oh, nothing new.
Yeah. So
Well, and a lot of games are putting in solo mechanics because
yeah.
solo gaming's always, even Gary Gygax, way back at that Tuesday, way back in the day when D&D started, he even wrote rules for playing D&D solo back then.
Right.
And the mindset was, it was a way of, pre-running an adventure or getting familiar with, like, it wasn't meant as a form of playing, but people took it that way and they've ran with it. Now
Right.
companies are creating rules specifically for solo playing, just because there's a whole subculture of people out there that either don't want to play with other people or they can't play with other people.
Well, the other thing is you want to. I mean, one of the biggest things about any kind of an RPG game or even a board game night.
David, have a great weekend. David,
take care, big man.
Yeah.
Is getting people to get together.
Yeah.
I'm always very shocked when I hear I've known people that have had like a D&D game going on for 20 years.
Yeah.
That's rare. Normally you get together 3 or 4 times and someone cancels. There's always somebody dropping out, something going on. And so solo RPG gives you a chance to have that little bit of a break. Yep. Do your role playing, whatever you want to do, on your own. So
yeah. And I like reading books. So
I wish I learned to read.
Yeah.
We didn't have books when I was a kid.
You had the stone tablets.
We had stone tablets.
Damn it! I misspelt it.
Damn it!
No go back space.
Well, I'm wearing this shirt today. Boomer. So.
I got the man, the myth, the legend.
And yeah, you guys have and get your picture behind you too on your cabinet back there.
He's always looking over my shoulder.
There you go.
He's always going, "Don't worry, make pretty happy trees." All right, everybody, we're going to cut out of here. Thank you all for joining. Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend or Remembrance Day. It's important.
Absolutely.
It is a very important. It's not just a sale at the store, but it means so much more. So
it does. Absolutely does.
I mean, it's also my birthday tomorrow. So now that most everybody cut out, I don't have to worry about it. Yes, tomorrow is my 55th birthday. So I am officially old. I got nothing else to say to that.
There you go. Yeah, I'm not going to comment.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to bounce. You all have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
See you, everybody.
Bye.